Hi everyone! So today I'm starting my back to school series for the fall of 2014. Woo! This is going to be my first back to school series and hopefully it's going to be a long one as I'm going to have a lot of videos up. I have a lot of different video ideas for you guys, but if you have any more requests, please leave them down below. Okay, so I thought I would start out with a very specific and not very common back to school video, and that is study tips for math. I know a lot of people think that math is very difficult, and I was myself one of them, but here are some tips for what I did that got my grade from a 3 to a 6 within a year, and hopefully if you guys know this early on, it can also help you guys. So the very first thing you want to do is change your mindset and check yourself for negative self-talk. And this is every time you say, oh, I'm so bad at math, or I suck at math, I'm not a mathematician, I don't understand math. Stop saying that to yourself and to others right now. Stop thinking it, because it's so self-destructive. Instead, tell yourself that, well, math is a challenge, it is difficult, but it is something I will work on and overcome. Or instead of saying that, well, I don't understand this before you've even tried, tell yourself, well, I might need a bit of help to be able to conquer this, but I will get it. And I know this sounds so incredibly cheesy and you feel really stupid doing it in the beginning, but I think this was one of the things that helped me the most, because when you stop saying bad things about yourself, you can start to actually evolve. Instead of saying that you're bad at math, you can say that it's a challenge and that you want to work on it, and only then you will actually open your mind to the wonders of mathematics. Don't diss it till you've tried it. Next thing is also something you know you should do, but very few people actually commit to, and that is to pay attention in class. So I mean, sit in the front, preferably alone if your classmates are very distractive. I know in most math classes people are. They do other things, they talk about other stuff that's not related to the class at all. So sit in the front, alone if you have to, or with someone that can help you, and really pay attention, because that's when you learn most of the things. I learn about nothing of math reading from the book because I don't understand what they're saying, but if a math teacher explains it to me, I can get a hold of it. But if you're not paying attention in class, then you've sort of lost already. So while you sit in the front and pay attention, take good notes immediately. So write down all the equations, write down if the teacher says some criteria for something to be true or not. If the teacher solves some questions, write it down, the full thing. If there are some numbers that are sort of odd, ask the teacher where those numbers came from, write it down in your notes, because you will probably wonder about that later on, and make sure you make a good foundation for you to revise later, and when you come home and do your homework, you will be able to understand what's going on because you have the notes and the outline and how to do it step by step already written down from your class. This tip is also something very common and something most people should do, but almost no one does, and that is to learn to use your calculator. This is my calculator. It is the best. I absolutely love it because now I've finally figured out how to use it. One of my friends, we did math together, and he knows probably a bit more in math than me. He's very smart, but he didn't know how to use his calculator, so he got 2 grades below me on our final exam. And I'm pretty sure a lot of it has to do with the fact that I know how to use my calculators to solve things, save time, and do some things that you can't do yourself, and he didn't. That's 2 grades. That's a lot. Also, when you learn how to use your calculator, if someone explains something to you, or your teacher, or you see it on YouTube or whatever, make sure to write it down in your notes and keep for future reference as well. The next tip is to know what you need to know for your exam or for your test. In the IB diploma program, this is quite straightforward, as you have like a syllabus or a study guide where everything says point by point what you need to know. But if you're in some sort of other high school or a college or middle school program or whatever, make sure to ask your teacher or look up in the book or look at some past exams so you know how difficult it will get and if there's anything you need to know and something you don't need to know. Also, something everyone keeps telling you that you should do, but you don't do, and I know you're not doing it because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, and that is to ask for help. I hate asking for help. I feel like I'm stupid and that I'm not worth anything because I can't do it on my own, but asking for help is one of the most vital components in learning, and that's what you're in school for. So ask your friend, ask your fellow classmates, ask someone who knows how to do it, ask your teacher, look in the book, look it up online, try to figure out how to do it, and don't just say, I'll do it later, because we both know you won't. Also, do your homework. Your teacher does not assign you homework because he or she thinks it's funny that you spend time on math when you're at home. It's because you actually learn things. Do your homework, find questions or things you don't know how to solve, and bring it to class and ask the teacher. That way, you get help, the other people who haven't done their homework have no idea what's going on, and you learn things well. Math is a subject that sort of builds on previous knowledge, so it's very important that you understand the most basic things from the beginning, otherwise you are lost later on. So do yourself a favor, spend the time necessary to do your homework now, and you will save so much time later on. This is something I did for a while that I found extremely helpful and that I wish someone would sort of have forced me to do earlier on, and that is to do 30 minutes of math every day. That's not your homework. So that will be every day put aside 30 minutes that you open your book, you look at questions, you solve it, you write down if you don't understand anything, look in the back of your book for the answers, bring the questions to the teacher, ask in the break or in office hours or whatever you have, and get it solved. Because those 30 minutes every single day will add up, so you don't have to spend hours and hours reading right before the test because you know most of the stuff already. When you do your homework and when you do those 30 minutes of math, make sure you solve questions because that is what you will be tested on. So don't just sit and reread what you already know. Make sure you go to the question part. You try to solve something. If you don't understand what's going on, you can skip a few pages like previously in the book, see if there's any explanation, if any of the questions are solved before, so you can see to sort of know how to do it, or look at your notes. But always try to solve as many questions or practice examples or whatever as possible. Look in the back of the book, check the answer, see if you're correct or not. If you're not, don't just say, oh, okay, that's fine. Go back, try to solve it again, try to figure out where you made your mistake, and try to get to the answer. If you still get it wrong, bring it to class, ask your teacher or professor. That's the way you learn. If you think it can be beneficial for you, try to hand in your homework to your teacher or professor, regardless of if they're taking it in or not, and ask them to correct it for you. That way you can see if you're on the right track, or maybe if you don't have enough time to stop and ask the teacher after every class, if there's a big lecture or a big class and the teacher doesn't have time to go around to everyone. Just make sure that you get the teacher or professor to look at your homework, look at what you've done to make sure that you got it right. Now remember that I told you to take good notes? Keep all those notes in a folder. So the notes you take in class, all the questions you solved, all the papers on how to solve things on your calculator, put all those in a folder and organize it. It will save you so much time later on, and it's so much easier for you to go back, look at what you've done before, and very easily snap back into the understanding. Also write some chapter summaries at the end of every chapter or like topic in your math book usually, that you can keep together with your notes. That will be very easy for you to look over right before a test, or when you come to your exams, you can look at this and see sort of what's included in each chapter and what you need to know, the different rules, equations, etc. to solve things, because it will be easier for you to just pick it up later on. Learn the unit circle. If you have any sort of geometry or trigonometry, be sure to learn the unit circle. There are some really cheesy songs on YouTube. I'm gonna link my personal favorite down below that helped me learn the unit circle because I'm sort of a dork. But it's very helpful because it keeps coming up and up and up in so many different areas of mathematics. When you ask your teacher or professor questions in math class, make sure not to only ask how, but also why. Why is this formula relevant in this question but not in this? Why do you use this number? Where did you get this from? By doing this, you will get a deeper understanding of why you do the math, of why it's important. I always ask, how is this relevant in real life? What can I use this for? Stuff like that really creates a broader understanding of mathematics, not just as an isolated field, but also relevance to your life. Also, if you have a deeper understanding of the basis and background of a formula or anything that you're using, you will be more able to sort of apply it in different situations. If you have a question that's formulated a bit differently and you have to manipulate numbers and stuff to fit it in, you will be more suitable to do so because you understand why the different numbers are where they're at. So basically, try not to just remember but also understand. When you learn different formulas and equations, make sure that you also understand where you can apply those. If there are any exceptions, if there's anything that needs to be there for the formula to be true, things like that. If you're in the IB, you can also make sure to check your study guide or syllabus for mathematics to make sure that you understand precisely what you need to know, and also be very familiar with your data booklet. Make sure that you know where the different rules apply, where they're at, if they're in the data booklet, or if you need to remember them. Also, when you study for math, make sure you study in short intervals. So do 30 minutes, take a break, 30 minutes, a short break, and stuff like that. So my final tip is for you to try to find a way that you can enjoy math. I think mathematics is extremely fascinating, but it can also be extremely frustrating. So try to find something that can lit your spark, something you find particularly interesting, and try to be open-minded. Remember the first tip, check yourself for all negative self-talk and try to see it as a challenge. Okay, so those were my tips for how to study for math. Hopefully it was helpful for some of you guys. If you have any questions or requests, please leave them down below, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!